I actually have a small friend that wants to join just for a minute because he's never been on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, he can be in the intro.
Shit about his mom's writing, but he wants to be on YouTube. So come here.
Hello.
Hey.
Your mom's awesome. And this is our book.
Well, actually, his name's Ricardo, but we call him Kiki. And
hey, Kiki.
YouTube.
Well,
I'm sorry, you guys are recording, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the show. We'll keep this bit. And this is our friend Ronald Kelly. He is the Jedi Master.
Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Always been there. Always been a friend. Always supporting us, helping us get better with our work. You know, guiding us along the way, like any true Jedi Master might.
Like an Obi-Wan. So
yeah, not Padawans.
Yeah, we are the Padawans.
Before we start, if there's anything you don't want us to talk about, we'll note it and we will not talk about it.
There was the time in 1998 when I killed a drifter. I hope you guys don't talk about that.
That's what that book's about, right?
Yes.
That's the only physical copy of a book I have. The rest are on digital.
Yeah, that's cool, man. As long as you get the story. I have a lot of digital too, you know.
If I got every book of everyone I loved, I
your
would
house
probably
would explode.
No, my wife would divorce me.
And then your house would explode.
Fair sequence of events. Excuse my unprofessionalism.
Oh, that's okay.
We've been excusing it for a long time.
Oh, shots fired. Ron, don't
That's the sassiest I've ever heard Ron.
We got sassy Ron today, so that is excellent. All right, I got everything squared away.
Hi, my name is Erica T. Worth, and I'm the author of White Horse that's out with Flatiron Macmillan November 1st, and it's an Indigenous literary horror novel. It's about Carrie, who despises her mother because she thinks she abandoned her when she was 2 days old. And she loves heavy metal and she loves horror. Those are the things she loves. But when her cousin Debbie gives her an old bracelet of her mother's, Carrie's like, yeah, thanks, and basically tosses it aside. And but when she touches it, her mother starts haunting her, the ghost of her mother, and this monster begins to invade her dreams. And so Carrie decides that she guesses she should find out what happened to her mother after all. And one of the bits of inspiration for this novel was had to do with my grandmother, as I had been told all of my life that my grandmother had suicided. But when a cop looked at the death certificate for my mother, he said to her that it sort of looked like it had been doctored, and the family came to wonder if her husband had murdered her. And so that controversy has never been resolved. And I think in some ways the tension between those two potential very, very different facts in some ways kind of like stayed inside my brain and erupted into this novel.
Hey, it's Well Red Beard. I appreciate you being here. I'm back full time on my channel. I would love for you to come over and subscribe. Just search Well Red Beard on YouTube. I delve deep into horror. I've spent the last 3 years reading a ton of independent small press horror. There's treasure to be found there, and I go out there and find it for you. I'm not afraid to tell you the books that aren't great while telling you the books that are great. I don't break hearts or hurt feelings, but if a book doesn't work for me, I will tell you that, and I'll tell you why. I'm on a new mission now to go back and dig into some great horror from the 80s and 90s. I'm working my way through Robert McCammon's books. I'm going to look at all of Peter Straub's work. I'm going to do Brian Keene. I've got aspirations to go back and do J.F. Gonzalez, a lot of the greats, so you have a good idea of where to start. I have a video up for J.F. Gonzalez's Survivor, so you can see what all the fuss is about. I recently read Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, so you can see what all the fuss is about. I just want you to come over and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the thing. I appreciate you taking a look at it. This is Well Red Beard. I hope you're enjoying all your books as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.
Welcome to Dead Headspace. I'm your host, Patrick R. McDonough, joined always by my co-host, Brennan LaFaro. Say hello, Brennan.
Hello, everybody.
And today we have Ronald Kelly as a guest co-host. Say hello, Ron.
Howdy.
He's sassy today, folks. And we have someone on that we wanted to have, one half of the Sisters of Slaughter, Michelle Garza. Say hello.
Hi there.
And they are actually pretty awesome. Someone that we wanted on for a while. We just, schedules, it happens, we guess. And it's pretty funny because I've been reading your stuff for a while, and I can't wait to dive into it. But before we do that, what got you into horror?
Well, I was just talking with my kids about this earlier, actually. Ever since I was a little kid, I've just always been into monsters and witches and werewolves and Halloween. I think growing up number one, our mother is a big time horror fan. So we were always watching horror ever since I was a little kid, like all the Universal monsters and everything. And number two, growing up in Arizona, when the summer's finally dead and it becomes fall, that's just the season, you feel alive again. So Halloween became my Christmas, and that's what got me into horror. If you see a werewolf sneaking in here, it's
The Wolfman's my favorite Universal for the original.
Oh, me too.
It's just so much
my
fun.
son has a big collection of stuffed werewolves. So,
do you know if your grandparents were into horror as well?
My grandparents?
Yeah, I'm only asking because you got 3 generations that are into it. I'm wondering if that goes back further.
Yeah, I mean, you know how my grandparents were from Tennessee and Arkansas, and it was always like a big thing to sit around and tell ghost stories or talk about haints, and so yeah, I think it's just in our blood.
That's great. Ron, I want to we know the story, but I want people to hear how you came across the Sisters of Slaughter.
Well, I knew Melissa's husband, Chris, for years before I knew the sisters. About the time that Paul Goblich was putting out the Essential Ronald Kelly collection in hardcover, I'd have extra copies on hand, and I'd sell them to Chris, and he built up a collection, and so I knew Chris for several years. I guess from like 2011 to 2012 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then around the summer of 2014, he messaged me. He said, "Hey, my wife and her sister are writing horror stories. Could you take a look at them and see, give them some pointers or something?" I said, "Well, yeah, sure, send them on." And so I'd done it before. People's always wanting me to read their stories and everything, and so I got the stories, and what I didn't know is that they really kicked ass, So, they sent me. I sort of conversed back and forth with Michelle and Melissa, and the thing about the cousins is because their mother's from Tennessee, family. They got family from Tennessee, so they said, "Well, you might be like an old long lost uncle," and I said, "No, I don't want to be an uncle. That's too creepy." So I said, "Well, why don't we could be cousins, you never know." So that's how that stuck. And I've had people say, "Are you really cousins?" And I said, "No, not really, literary cousins, Yeah, but we're practically family because, I love these ladies like like my kin, so."
Oh, you are a true cousin, Ron.
They're hard not to love. And Brennan, before I go on, I want to hear you jump in because I've been talking a lot.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love that too. I dig the camaraderie. I'm so glad that, we were able to get you guys on to that video for Ron's memoir. You know, to what not to turn this into a Ron centric episode. I promise I won't. But what a great memoir.
I got nothing but love for the dude.
Yep. I'm super curious. I want to dive right into. I'm so fascinated whenever we have an author on here who can talk about collaborating with other authors, and you put us in a unique position where you are collaborating with someone not who just writes in a similar genre, not who just has a similar style, but who you've known all your life. Tell us a little bit about collaboration. From the germ of an idea to finished product.
Well, first of all, where we grew up, it was on 2.5 acres of desert, basically. And our street wasn't paved till we were like 20 years old. It was just something we started as kids that was just fun to do. Our brother would read us like Goosebump books and everything. And then I think we're like 8 or 9 years old, and we just decided we we're going to start writing our own books and letting our mom read them, and we would illustrate them. So our situation's a little different because we've just been doing it so long. We started out just doing it as like fun, little kid stuff. And we continued doing it, even when we're teenagers and everything. So for us, basically, we both, I do a lot of handwriting, and so does she. A lot of especially our earlier books and stuff, most of those were all handwritten before they're typed. But we keep notebooks of ideas, and we'll share them with each other, and we'll decide, if that's something, if the story idea is something that should be longer, or if it's just a short story idea, how much we can build on them. So that's where we start, with our idea books. I know when Sinister Grin opened up ages ago, we were asked to write a novel, and we were trying to think of something, and Melissa had watched a TV show about possibly how the mines might have come up into Georgia and the southern states. And that's where our idea for Mayan Blue came from, because we're like, oh, we got to think of something, that's hasn't been done a million times. You guys, werewolves here. But anyways, so we look at our idea books. If, we usually make a list, like, this book is going to be a novel. This one sounds more like a short story. And then depending on whatever we're writing, sometimes we're invited to things, or sometimes, places open up. But if it's a short story, we can look at our list of ideas and say, okay, we're going to go with this one. Yeah. Or if it's like, there's a press that's opening for novels and we want to go for it, then we'll start obviously way in advance writing novels. So that's how we do it. And we get together. I mean, lately, seriously, the last 5 or 6 months has been really bad, because it seemed like everybody's health has gone to shit. Our dad got super sick. Then our mom got super sick and she had emergency surgery. Melissa's been taking care of her. And now Melissa's not here today because her mother-in-law had an emergency surgery. But on a normal day or a normal week, we try to get together 2 or 3 times a week, and we'll sit down and we kind of divvy up the work, and we also outline. I know a lot of people are not fans of outlines, but for us, even if we just keep a loose outline, like the direction of where we're going to go, then it kind of helps us. Like if I'm away from her and I'm writing 2 or 3 chapters, and if she's at home and she's writing her chapters, then it's not like a complete surprise. Like we know, these 2 characters have to get to this point. They're going to kill this person in a gruesome way, whatever. And then sometimes it's kind of a surprise, like in between, like when I see what she wrote, or if she sees what I wrote, sometimes it's a surprise. You're like, whoa, that was cool, So, and then once we get it all together, obviously the rough drafts, they're not always the greatest. So we read over them together. Sometimes too, we might go back, the last 5 chapters or something, and read it out loud, see how it sounds, and see if it's, as exciting as it can be, I guess you'd say, or if it captures your attention, or if pieces of it lag, then are we going to keep those pieces, or are we going to write better pieces, and we get them all into the big rough draft and we read it together. And I usually do most of the editing, even though, like I don't claim to be an editor. So anybody who's edited my shit will probably be like, you don't edit nothing, girl. But so yeah, and then we usually just use like my email address and email it off to the publisher and cross our fingers and toes and pray for the best.
I like your work. I like what you guys do. Man, I should have written this title down. Is the ghost story Isolation? Is that the title?
Isolation, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't do this with every book, but I told you when I read it, when I read that book, I kept playing this one song over and over again because it like talked about the sea, captured it perfectly. And I just played that on Alexa on repeat. And it was just that, me reading that book in the living room. And like, I loved it so much because.
Wow. Actually, that book is, I think, our first long book that Ronald helped us with.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I helped edit that book,
Oh, see, now Ronald, he knows about my editing. My editing has gotten better in the last 8 years. But he's probably like, what is this, girl?
Well, yeah, it was a wonderful story and everything. It was just the mechanics of how, splitting up into paragraphs. It was like one long paragraph.
Exactly. Like, Michelle, you have to have paragraphs, and you have to put quotation marks around where people speak, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's how a book works, right?
When people, write, when they start learning to write from just scratch, if they didn't have writing classes or college. Yes. I didn't have any college. I had to learn by the seat of my pants, Yeah. And it just takes a while to learn the mechanics of how how you lay out write a story or a novella or something like that. And I mean I love Isolation. That's a really good. That was a good starting point for you. But
from your other work that I've read, it was definitely different tonally, and it was really neat because tell me if I'm getting too close to spoilers, but basically I like how it felt. I mean, it is kind of like a Victorian story, but I just like how it felt like it was an older style story.
Yes.
But not for nothing, it was fast paced, unlike some of the older style stories. And it kind of felt bad for the guy at the end. Yeah. a little bit. And I just want to mention this. It's really for those that listen that don't know this. Before Dead Headspace, Brennan and I met when my friend Garrett Witt gave me his review platform, Deadhead Reviews, which is why, well, my wife came up with the title, but that's why we named it this, to have a mega big platform for promoting people. But why I'm bringing that up is because when I ran the Women of Horror Month for that platform, you and your sister wrote a story for that, and I loved it. I just remember it was in the desert with a serial killer, and it was the typical story. And I hope you don't hate me saying that, but the typical Sisters of Slaughter story of just like brutality against some scumbag, and it was just a whole lot of fun. And this is my odd segue of saying, talk about that book. It's beautiful.
Hold on, my co-host was supposed to tell you guys something, right? What were you supposed to say? Buy Mom's books.
Buy Mom's books. That's a good tagline.
Right.
say agents?
Agents give
my
mom a book a deal.
Give my mom a book deal.
Give my mom a book deal.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir.
Listening, Del Rey?
How could they say no to that?
I know.
Cruel and heartless.
But seriously, it's like, I'm going to say that, like, this is my pitch. Okay, you guys give me a book deal. But then I'm going to say, I wrote a book about janitors versus the living dead. It has a lot of shit and farting and vomiting in it. Watch out, werewolf. Okay. So
I remember listening to a interview with you and Melissa on Brian Keene's horror show where you guys talked about how, I can't remember if it was you or her, was a janitor reading paperbacks. And okay, so yeah, both of you, and y'all just had this like dream of, I wish that this could be us, and that's really neat because I mean, I only started seriously putting pen to paper in 2013, and it's not so long ago, but I was just talking about this today with Brendan that I never wanted to self-publish because of my first experience in 2014 where I didn't really know anyone and it just felt really lonely and I hated it. I hated doing everything, but due to social media, like we all know each other. We're all friends, us four, and Melissa's here in spirit, so that's five, but
she's always here. Yeah.
My point is it's so different now. And I want to know how you and your sister went from being janitors, reading horror books on breaks, to writing that horror book that has a limited edition copy with arguably one of the best in the business.
Exactly. By being published by the fucking mighty Thunderstorm Books.
Yep.
Paul is an amazing dude.
Okay, everybody loves him.
Oh yeah, he's the greatest. I can't say anything bad about Paul ever.
Really sweet guy.
Coolest, sweetest, most professional dude in the industry. So
I agree.
But like I was saying before, you know, we've been writing since we're little kids, so we had stories and everything, and Melissa's husband knew that, and everybody that's been around us, our family, has always known that. And when I met my husband, he knew. It's like you kind of just gotta like I don't know if it's like confessing it to someone, like, I like to write scary stories. But you know, over the years, my husband, Melissa's husband, they're really pushing us, like, if you like to do it, why don't you get out there and try, you know? And okay, Wolfman, I think we have this this crazy idea because, you know, neither one of us went to college. Like we just had this thing in our head for a long time where it's like, if you didn't go to college or, you know, for writing, and you're never going to go anywhere, no one's going to take you seriously. And Melissa's husband was like, dude, you got to get on Facebook and see like the and everything at Facebook, you know, but you know, see the other people, you know, there's other people doing it, you know, and just give it a shot. So we did, and we, you know, started writing, and basically I would say like the first probably the first years like it is all rejection, you know, which is comes in the with the territory.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Especially when like you don't know what you're doing, you're just winging it, man, you're just getting out there and trying, you know. So we had a friend that lives here in Arizona, and she her and her friends were putting out like an anthology, and she asked us to put in a story, so we did. And then I sent off a poem for the HWA Poetry Showcase Volume 1. It was a very short poem, but I got it accepted, and I was totally stoked. Then our friend James Newman, unfortunately, he had an accident and a tree fell on him, and luckily he survived. He's a really cool guy. And, you know, our friends were putting together an anthology for him to try to help him out. And we asked if we could submit, and we did. And luckily our story was chosen. And that actually got turned to a novella later on. But everybody that read it thought it was great. Those who follow. So that was our start, just getting our feet wet in there. And I think I would just basically tell everybody, if you want to do it, just get out there and try, learn from your mistakes, read other people's work and see, what works. And do not be afraid if you get rejected. Like everyone is going to get rejected. I don't think there's ever a person alive that's going to write and have everything they ever submit accepted, pure and simple, So, that's how we got our start. We were janitors, reading, a lot of reading. I've always read my whole life, and always writing stories and writing poetry. And I think it was like, we were like 29, and me and my sister were like, we're almost 30. If we're going to try to do this, let's jam on it, let's try. So that's what we did.
We're going to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, such a solid point. And it can't be said enough. I mean, in 170 episodes or thereabouts, I can't even imagine how many times we've had people say, like, hey, don't take rejections personally. They are going to happen. And especially, I've got to imagine that I haven't been writing long enough to have been sent rejections in the snail mail. But nowadays in social media, where you'll see call for submissions and they'll be like, we received, 1,500 submissions. It's a little bit easier to not take it personally. It's a little bit easier to say, okay, I would have to beat out, 1,475 stories. And all of a sudden the numbers work in my favor. But at the same time, it does bear repeating, and we do talk about it over and over again, because somewhere in the back of our mind, we're proud of that little piece of work we've sent out into the world, and we do believe it deserves a home. And, the best of the best will always tell you that it's not always, if you have something rejected, it's not because it's bad. Or not necessarily because it's bad. Sometimes it's just because it's not a good fit, or because the editor just read a story with a similar theme, 10 minutes before. So there is no real question here, but I'm always glad to hear somebody who has, X number of books in the world and has, kind of garnered a readership, and an avid readership in your case, just say, hey, I was there too. So, you will survive it.
Oh yeah. And I mean, some rejections hurt more than others, I'll tell you. We had one, it was just a couple years ago, that was almost like right there on the line, like almost greenlit to write like kind of serialized stuff again, kind of like the same stuff that we did with Brian Keene and Richard Chismar. But just at the last minute, it was like, nope, sorry. And like that one hurt badly. But I've always been the kind of person where it's like, if that happens to me, I just kind of like get up and just like, you just got to dust yourself off and keep going, because nobody's going to make you keep going with yourself. So you got to do it,
You know what? I actually have something to piggyback off of what you just said. 'Cause I was talking to Joe Lansdale yesterday about, it doesn't matter what the topic is. It was just something that was stressing me out. So I reached out to him and Ron.
Name dropper.
Well, I said Ron too. So it's double name dropping. Let me have my moment on someone else's episode. But what Joe said rings true to this point. What you're saying. He said the only thing certain. I messed up already. He ended with breathe easy. It does what it does, with or without your worry. And I thought that was true about so many things in life. That a lot of things are going to happen whether you're happy or worried or whatever.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it keeps on and moving, unfortunately. So, and I know there's days that sometimes you don't want to make yourself get up and keep going, or get up and keep trying, but we just got to,
Absolutely. Ron, let's hear some of your sage wisdom. Southern Fried Master.
Well, I was just thinking about the unique dynamic that Michelle and Melissa have. I mean, sisters working together. It might be cliche to ask, but Michelle, but do you have any kind of like psychic kind of link between you and Melissa? Or?
Well, I mean, definitely, people probably think it's weird, but definitely being twins, it's like, I think it's almost like sometimes we can read each other's minds. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's been some weird things where it's like, when you're an adult and you don't even speak to each other for a week, but you're both showing up to like your mom's birthday or something. You're both wearing almost the exact same clothing, things like that. So, I mean, I think we do. We have a special connection, a special link. It's always going to be there. I was lucky because I was born with a best friend. That's why a lot of times I kind of am an introvert. I don't really give a shit about leaving my house a lot because I was born with a best friend. And I don't know, sometimes I think that hurts me a little bit because I don't know how to interact with people. And I think sometimes sharing through writing, maybe you connect with people a little bit,
I'm wondering about you and Melissa having such a close connection. Have you ever explored at least the idea with each other about writing a story about what life would be like if she were to die, or if you were to die, or something, not death, but a terrible accident where it might make one of you not be able to speak anymore? Have you guys ever explored that? Because something that, go ahead.
In our one book, Those Who Follow, there's a girl that ends up searching a connection, and she finds out that it is her sister that was taken by a serial killer that was taken into another dimension to kill her. And
that's awesome.
But we do have other like twin stories that we're planning. We didn't know if it would be like overkill if we put too many twins in stories. And having people like, oh, of course, the twins have another book with twins in it. But I mean, it's about time, I think, because that book's about like 7 or 8 years old. So maybe some more creepy twin stuff going on, I think, would happen.
I love that.
Go ahead, Ron.
Zebra had it was actually sisters who wrote under the name Pauline Dunn. They wrote two novels for Zebra, and I don't think they were twins; they were sisters. But I did meet them at the First World Horror Convention, and they were night and day. One was very introverted, one was very extroverted, and it was like night and day. But they came in about the time I did and only wrote 2 novels, and then I guess Zebra shut their doors, and I don't know if they ever wrote again. But I had never come across another pair of writing sisters until I met Michelle and Melissa.
I was just going to throw out there, Ron, I'm glad you thought to ask that question. I find the whole like potential, let's say, psychic link between twins, I find that fascinating. And I actually have 2 older sisters who are twins, and I almost don't even think of them as twins. They don't look alike. They don't act alike. I won't say they aren't close, but not like best friend close, not like you kind of think of the stereotypical twins. So, I mean, I do find that interesting. And, of course, I wonder if that's kind of what leads to you and Melissa being on the same page as far as writing. Now, kind of harking back to my earlier question, do you find that when you guys are working together, do you bring different strengths or different like skill sets to the experience?
Yeah, I think, I mean, she has a great way of like thinking of new ways, or I guess new ideas or fresh ways of looking at maybe an old trope, maybe something I would pass over, like, oh, people have done that, but oh, but they haven't done it like this, and then we go, oh, okay. So she's really good at that. We're both, I would say, both pretty good at making up some really gruesome or gross things.
Yep. You are underplaying that one.
I was telling because I'm writing a Western comic for the Dead Sky Publishing.
Oh, really?
Right.
But I was talking and I was telling him because he was reading Pandemonium Arizona, our latest one from Journal Stone. And he was like, oh, a couple pages into it, there's already diarrhea in a bathroom stall. And I was like, every time, I swear to God, I say, you know what, we're going to try to write something. Just let's try to be a little bit more serious, maybe a little more mainstream. There's always something with diarrhea. There's period blood. There's maggots in someone's mouth. And then we're all fucked.
See, Brennan, I could write all the throw up in the world I want, and I'll just be somewhat cool like them. So
you have to garner your audience first.
That's true.
The people picking up a Sisters of Slaughter book, they want diarrhea. I mean, you can't disappoint the masses.
No. What I was actually, me and Melissa have always thought it would be cool to have like an anthology called like Slaughter City, and like maybe have a story or two from us and then invite some of our friends to write just gruesome shit,
That'd be cool. Damn, I want to read that now.
Yeah.
I want to be in it.
There you go. You got the Jedi Master.
Have a jokes of poop jokes.
Oh, he said my favorite type of jokes are poop jokes.
I can believe that.
I've always said that if I hit an age where I'm not laughing at poop and farts anymore, like just take me out back and give me the old Yeller treatment.
Yeah, just do me in, bro.
I thought old Yeller went to the farm. On the farm.
Take me to the farm. Exactly. That's what I mean. Sorry. Earmuffs, Patrick.
For you or me.
For you.
So, Ron, what do you think about...
Here's the joke going over your head.
No. I got it. Yeah, I'm a little kid. I'm a kid with bald hair and a beard. It's not funny, Brennan. Ron, if they were to make that anthology, what would your story be about?
I don't know. I mean, I've explored a lot of it in Essential Six stuff, so I'd have to come up with something, totally, probably way beyond what I usually write extreme. But
what if you write a story about like a haunted building where the doors are mouths, but you don't know it, and there's like dead people in the building to luring living people, and then the door goes nom nom nom.
Yeah, that's possible.
Brendan, what do you think of that, man?
I think if Ron was going to write something, he would need to write some sort of like sidequel to Mojo Mama. I had I reread that recently, and I think I sent you a message like, "What the hell, Ron? Like this, there's some stuff in there. Like where were you going with that? Like what was going on with you that you?"
I was just going to add, though, the only way to escape from this building is through the back door, and that door is a butthole.
I actually want to write that story now about a haunted building.
I went there.
I'm going to co-write with the Sisters of Slaughter spiritually, because I don't think that they would stoop to my level.
No, don't be ridiculous, man. You don't know what my level is.
Let's talk about this book. Audio listeners, I'm holding up the Buzzard Zone. Yeah, it's a Ronald Kelly book, but how does it connect to the Sisters of Slaughter? Let's hear it, Melissa or Ron. Michelle, I keep doing that. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. That's been my whole life, bro. We are honored to be characters in that book. Completely honored.
Let's talk about all the gruesomeness with you guys in it.
Well, and also I was going to say Ron is very professional, because when he was writing our characters, he asked us about ourselves, if we had a dog when we were younger, and also how we would like to die. So,
ooh, they got to pick their death? That's smart.
Well, kind of, not the exact way, but we kind of got to say like, hey, I want to go out and glory.
I gave Michelle a choice. I said, "Do you want to be bitten by a zombie or do you want to blow up?" And she said, well, "Just blow me up, you know."
Yeah, boy.
I love
I
that.
blew up real good, you know.
And just so those don't know, those that do not know, that is Ronald Kelly's zombie book, and it's a beautiful cover. And I'm assuming that's Alex McVeigh.
It
Alex.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's.
Didn't Alex do your janitor zombie book cover too?
Yeah, our janitors versus the living dead. Yeah, he did this one too.
Yeah.
Super cool. We were like so honored to have him do a book cover for us.
It's actually called Fart Jokes the Book.
Get out of here. My son's saying everything's fart jokes.
It's called Fart Jokes the Book. Is that what he said?
Yes. I told him earlier if he wanted to say hello, it was fine. And now he's just jumping in on it in any chance he can get.
You give a man
the interview is with Tiki. Yeah.
And he steals it for a mile.
Exactly.
That's not the phrase, but I don't know what it is. So that's what we're going with.
He took a mile.
There we go.
Poo-poo. Poo-poo butt.
I want to know what you guys got coming up that you can talk about. Besides, we talked about Dead Sky publishing the.
Right now, we are working on a few novels together and separately.
Wait, what?
Yes, we do write separately every once in a while. So she was working on a few things. I was working on a few things, and those things are not published to or promised to publishers or anything. We're just doing it for fun. And we were actually thinking of putting together all of our old short stories into a collection. We've been talking about that for like a year though, so we need to get on that.
Yeah, I specifically remember I asked you via email or messenger, whatever, and that was that you said the collection. That had to be it.
Yeah, we want to put one together. I haven't even asked though a publisher who wants to publish this. Come on and come get it.
I mean, I feel like you guys are in that position where you can do that now.
I think so. Hint, hint. Anybody out there? Paul? Hey, Paul. Email Paul.
Yeah, email Paul. I bet he would publish that.
Oh, email me. No.
Get out of here.
You want to talk about? Me and Brendan were talking about. I think before we were on the air that he's got like 6 bookshelves, and they're all just packed with books.
Yeah.
And we've seen Paul's a section of his library, and oh my god, he's got like 2 copies of every book he's ever published.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Actually, too, let me tell you about Paul. It was very kind. We had managed to avoid COVID until like the middle of August, and I had posted on Twitter how we were all sick. And it was just like a day or two later, I got a care package in the mail with a bunch of Thunderstorm books from Paul, telling me to kick COVID's ass, telling Melissa to kick COVID's ass. So if that tells you what kind of heart he has.
You know what?
Amazing.
I know. He sent Brendan and I some books, and that yours was one of them. And I told my wife, I'm like, do you know how much this is worth? Not that I'm trying to sell them, but I'm like, why would he do this?
Get off eBay, Pat. No, I mean, when we were saying earlier that like that Paul is just a good soul, like we're not blowing smoke. Like dude is a legitimately just wonderful human being. Every interaction that we've had with him has just been so nice. He's such a kind guy, you know, nothing bad to say about the dude.
Yeah, we had dinner with Ron when he was out here last, and Paul was there too, and
that's
we
awesome.
just had a good time.
Is that when you guys did the wolf paintings?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Ron painted amazing werewolf for us.
Not surprised.
If I have a treasure trove, well, I do have a treasure trove. I'm like a dragon, and that is sitting on top of all of my gold coins is that painting, because I was just like so blown away by it. I was like, oh my God. It's seriously, I think, like one of the coolest gifts a friend has ever given me.
That's pretty bad.
I brought it thousands of miles.
I know.
You drove from Tennessee to Arizona?
Yeah, and then on to California after that. So, those paintings traveled a lot of miles.
Yeah.
I had them well wrapped, and I mean, we had so much stuff in the back of that van. It was like there wasn't like a half an inch of space in it.
Yeah, just big enough to put the paintings in there,
Yeah,
man.
right. I slid them in there.
It's like playing Tetris.
Where'd you guys come up with the name Sisters of Slaughter?
We were in an anthology a while ago or years ago, and one of the editors was joking on Facebook with some other dudes, and they're like, you know what? We all need to make like wrestling names. And they're like, what would Melissa and Michelle's name be if they're wrestlers? And it was like the Twins of Terror. And they made up a couple of them. And then they're like, how about the Sisters of Slaughter? And we're like, yeah, that works. And I mean, I've always been, and Melissa too, have always been like a huge fan of like death metal, underground metal, and everything. So when people started calling us the Sisters of Slaughter, we got shirts made. It almost looked like a band shirt. You know what I mean? So, and that's where our logo came from. So it was kind of just like a joke at first, and we just went with it.
Yeah. It kind of fits in also with the heavy metal I like from the 80s is Judith Priest or
Yeah.
Twisted Sisters or Black Sabbath.
Mhm.
Sisters of Slaughter would definitely fit in. I can see them playing with Kiss.
I think Steven Kozanowski, he was wearing our Sisters of Slaughter shirt at a convention, and somebody was like, I think I seen them play with Crocus or something. And he's like, no, you didn't. This is not a band. But yeah.
So. You guys play music? Are you guys musicians at all?
No. Oh God.
That face is great. No, not at all.
Not at all. No. If someone tried to hear me sing or something, they think it's like a mix of King Diamond and like a dying mule or something. So
that's quite a mix.
It is. And definitely you don't want to hear me sing. It could kill you.
It won't.
Kiki, get out of here.
Is Kiki your favorite child? Who asked that question?
Oh.
I got one kid, so mine's an easy yes. Phil's my favorite.
Kiki is my youngest. I asked my oldest son, who just turned 16.
Oh my goodness.
Bobby, if he would be on, if he wanted to say hello, and he's like, "No, Mom, I don't."
Don't blame him.
Come here, Bobby.
Bunch of nerds on here, except for Ron, who's a sassy bitch. I never thought I'd say that about you, Ron. How dare I?
I love that.
Well, I'm keeping the clip of Ron being sassy in the intro.
Okay.
You have to. I mean,
it's my oldest son.
Hey, Bobby. We're a bunch of nerds, so we're not cool.
He was raised by me, so he knows.
Okay.
I'm a nerd.
I too have glasses, but I don't need them close up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like right before we started this, like the storms and shit here in Arizona is supposed to be over, the monsoon, and like this huge storm rolled through. We went to get the kids some food, and I ran out of the car, and my hair is all messed up, and luckily you guys were like doing like a promo or something, because I'm like, I gotta put my hair in a ponytail or something, because this shit's crazy, man.
We did an ad with Erica T. Worth, who's got a book coming out with Flatiron.
That was sweet.
Yeah, she's an indigenous writer from Denver. Colorado. I don't know if she's from Denver.
Denver is in Colorado.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know if she's from Denver. So I'm just saying Colorado for sure. I know, man, where stuff are.
You didn't sound like you knew.
I don't give a shit. I don't know much. Stop pointing out my flaws.
That's fair. I want to throw out real quick. I don't really have a question attached, but we mentioned isolation earlier, and if memory serves, that came out in fall of 2019. But it also around the same time you released Tapetum Lucidum, and I love this book. I absolutely fucking love this book.
The title, how'd you say it correctly?
Okay, so Michelle and Melissa did an interview with Ink Heist when the book came out. I listened to it. I was actually super fascinated with the way you came up with the title. I had never heard that term before. And I believe it's correct me if I'm wrong, it's the kind of phenomenon of light shining off the eyes of animals, yes. Which creepy as hell, right? I mean, you don't get that. It's just a horror title waiting to happen, and thankfully you guys snatched it up. But this is such a great, shit goes to hell in a small town creature feature. And I'm going to hold it up again because I also love the cover. It's a fabulous cover, and of course you've got the eyes. That is, and I would like to see more people pick that up and read it and like kind of number it among their favorite creature features.
Yes, that was such a fun book to write. I swear, man, I love creatures tearing people to pieces and destroying a town. I just love it, And we're like, we got to do something like this, and we had the name for that already, and we kind of wrote it into a short story. But we're like, let's expand on this idea, what goes beyond this part of this little short story that we had. And I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I know, I think it's going to be out of print through Death's Head Press, but we are talking to somebody else to bring it back. So
very cool. Glad to hear that.
I was waiting to see what the Wolfman was going to say. Okay, so Brennan, do you want to go to the currently reading, or you got something else?
No, we can go there if you're ready.
Yes, we can. I keep watching the wolf. I'm getting distracted by your kid's toy. That says more about me.
Thank God it doesn't squeak, because you'd be in trouble.
Yeah,
luckily. I'm
like a good puppy with a beard. Michelle, what are you currently reading? I didn't laugh. That was hard because Ron was smiling, and that was going to make me laugh.
Well, believe it or not, this is not going to surprise anybody at all. But usually around every October, I start reading some of my favorite books, my comfort books. And it is Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. I read that yearly because I love werewolves. Most people that knew us like years ago on Facebook knew that. I always used to do Werewolf Wednesday. I am obsessed with werewolves. So that's why I buy my kids werewolves to play with. That's why I read werewolves. I watch werewolves. We haven't had a chance to have a full-on werewolf book, but I'm not saying that's never going to happen because it's about goddamn time we do.
Oh, absolutely. That, you know what? I just heard about this book called Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison.
I'm buying that.
Yeah. I've heard really good things.
And Alma Katsu's werewolf, is it?
Oh, phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta get that shit all up in my brain.
Yeah, you'll love that. It's great.
I love her.
So those are the two I want, 100%, definitely.
I want to get them on Christmas.
I will get them for Christmas. Good idea.
From Santa.
Santa's bringing me those for Christmas.
Or the Wolfman. What if the Wolfman was dressed as Santa?
That would be adorable.
You should do that. You should family photo.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to fucking sew a Santa Claus for the werewolf. I'm going to.
I want to see those. If you actually do that, please send it to me.
I will.
Ron, what are you currently reading, sir?
Well, I just finished Ronald Malfi's Black Mouth.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Brennan talks really highly of that one.
Yeah, it's a doorstopper too. It was a pretty thick book. So that was great. Right now, I'm reading Things Left Behind, the collection. Brian Keane and Mary San Giovanni's joint collection.
Nice.
I'm a few stories into that and enjoying it. It's great.
Excellent. Brennan, what are you reading?
Speaking, I think that's a Thunderstorm release too.
It is a Thunderstorm. Yeah.
I am reading.
We should get Paul on the show one day.
Little Eve by Katrina Ward. It's awesome. So far. And I have no doubt it's going to let me down because I loved Last House on Needless Street. I loved Sundial. And this is kind of, I don't want to say it's the same because I feel like that sounds negative, but she has this way of just kind of setting up where you read a few chapters in and you have just no idea what's going on. Everything is just so off kilter. And you keep flipping the pages because there's these constant teases, like you're going to get on some kind of level ground. And it just, I mean, in this book, it hasn't happened so far. And frankly, even in the other ones, just from the way she writes, I know she's eventually going to pull the rug out from under me, and I'm going to wonder how she pulled it off so successfully. But yeah, she's a hell of an author. I am also reading Inside the Devil's Nest by John Durgan. He self-published a book called The Cursed Among Us earlier this year. Really, really cool read. And he has this new book coming out through D&T in January, I think. It's really excellent so far. It's a mixture of cult and mafia. And, so far the tension in it is just, it's top notch. Really, really good stuff. So I'm excited to get through the rest of that. Patrick, what about you?
I'm finishing up David Morrell's First Blood. I got 2 hours and 30 minutes left. First time I'm reading it. I watched a movie years ago. I know I watched all three at some point. It's ingrained in society so much that like you watch it at some point, it's been years. So it's a good refresher.
We love the Rambo movies. Every year, every 6 months, I think we have to watch all the Rambo movies back to back.
I want to see the new one. And then there's also this new TV show with Sylvester Stallone. I want to say something Yuma, but it looks it's a drama. It looks really cool. Man, welcome to Yuma. I feel like that's it. But the other book I'm currently reading is Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian.
I'm reading The Road as well. Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
No, I haven't read that. This is my first McCarthy book. I've never read him before, and I've owned The Road for a while.
Yeah.
But I really like it, and especially how I'm finishing it. It's on a horror western, and I don't want to say what, but I got plans for staying in that space for some time. I want to absorb as much weird western horror stuff as I can. So yeah, that's definitely on all the like top list of horror westerns. That's always on it. So I need that in my my lexicon.
When I get more news about the comic, I'll let you know.
Yes.
That.
Yeah, I've been
totally.
Steve Wands is the one that runs that.
Yes.
He's a really nice guy. He's been very helpful with me. I got nothing but the kindest things to say about him. So yeah,
he's been super awesome working with him. When he first asked if we wanted to do any comics, I was like, well, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
How to write that. This is the first time I've ever tried to write like in that format. So he's been really cool.
How do you like it compared to writing prose?
I love it. Honestly, I love it. I know, like when we wrote Mayan Blue and a few of our other books, some of the, I won't say negative things people said, or some of the complaints people have had. Sometimes it's like you have a very short chapter, or it bounces a lot. I think my brain really wants to write like a comic, or maybe one day like movies or something, because that's what I see in my mind. It's more of just like a little movie going on. And sometimes when you're writing a novel or you're writing a book, sometimes it's like the chapter might be, some people might think not long enough, or you bounce back and forth too much between characters, because sometimes my brain gets bored. You know what I mean?
I get it. I totally get it.
Here and see how this person's dying.
I think every reader is individual, though. I mean, you're going to please some people and not others. And, just like dealing with rejections, dealing with reader feedback is, not to take anything away from reader experience. it's everybody's going to have a different experience. And if you try to incorporate them all into future work, you're going to create a Frankenstein's monster that nobody wants to read.
Right.
So I just looked it up. The Sylvester Stallone show that's coming on, it's called Tulsa King. It's on Paramount Plus, and the synopsis is it follows an Italian mobster faced with the startling task of reestablishing his Italian mafia family in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh,
And
wow.
the preview wrote me in. I mean, I love Stallone. He seems like a good guy, and he's a wonderful actor. I like the movie. What is it? Mom's Stop! My Mom's Got a Gun.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah, that movie's hilarious. Just like randomly, just like one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies is my favorite Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way. It's so
Oh my
fun.
God.
It's fun. I love Turbo Man. All right, let's find out, where can people follow you?
Well, stop. On Twitter.
We can edit him out.
Yeah. Well, do have a Facebook.
Tell him
We
I'm
do
only
have
kidding. I don't want to
but,
make a
like,
kid upset.
I don't know if anybody's on Facebook that much anymore. So just
the old
mostly on
MySpace.
Twitter and Amazon.
I talked over you. Sorry about that. Twitter and Amazon. What is your username?
On Twitter is Sisters of Slaughter at Fiend Books, I think.
That sounds right.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, Fiend Book sounds right.
I think it is. I think you're good.
Ron, where can people follow you?
You can go to my website, ronaldkelly.com, which is horribly outdated. It needs to be updated, which I'll probably do when I retire in November. I'll get in there and update it a lot. But you can find me on Facebook. I'm still on Facebook, so I've got a lot of followers on Facebook. But I'm Ronald Kelly on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm Ronald Kelly 4, and on Instagram, I'm Dixie Darkin. And you can subscribe to my Substack newsletter, the Fear County Chronicle, and get.
I love that newsletter.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It's a good one.
It's been a lot of fun,
Yeah, it's pretty neat, man. We should start doing this. If you want to follow us on the show, Dead Headspace, we can be found on TikTok, on Twitter, Instagram. I think that's it. I don't know, but I'm not the best producer. It doesn't matter, right, Brennan? Where can people follow you? Don't answer the question. Just the second one.
Where can people follow me? If I'm honest, I really only go back and forth between home and work, and I don't feel comfortable giving out the addresses of my schools. So,
yes, finally someone answered that.
Probably Twitter is the best bet, at Brendan LaFaro.
Thank you. I am always hoping someone is silly with that one. Michelle, do you have any final thoughts, comments, or odd sounds?
Well, I would just
fart
like,
noises.
You did it. Thank you guys for having me on your show. I know I'm a weirdo and my son's crazy. But anyways, thank you. And I also want to thank Ron for joining us, because that means a lot to me, because you've always been a really good friend and you'll always be my cousin in horror. And I love you guys. Thank you.
Love you too. And it's funny how Ron came on. Brennan didn't even know, because
nope, that was a surprise for me.
It was a surprise for both being and Ron too, as of up until like 30 minutes before the show.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 4:00 here. I said, so you're having the sisters on? And he said, yeah, do you want to be on there? And I said, yeah. So
it's tonight.
It was tonight. So it happened to be that everybody was out of the house. So I've got the house to myself. So it was perfect.
Brennan, do you have any final thoughts?
Michelle, we're just, we're grateful for your time. We're glad to have you on. We originally we wanted to get you on in our first batch of 6 episodes, and here we are at like 160, 170. And I'm so glad that we could finally make it happen. We love your work, and, of course, Melissa's too, pass our love on to her. So yeah, I'm so thankful this happened. And surprise, Ron, I'm glad you joined us. We're always happy to have you.
And yeah, you two are pretty much my horror sisters, so I am glad that I get to call you guys my friend. And Michelle, I appreciate you being here along with Wolfman and your son.
I'm so happy to have you guys. Seriously, you guys are awesome, always so supportive and good friends. And that's what I looked at it like tonight. I wasn't nervous or anything, so I'm like, I'm just gonna be hanging with my friends tonight.
Absolutely. And please do let us know about that comic, because we want to talk all about it. We want to promote it because that sounds awesome. I want to buy it already, but it's not possible.
I will.
Next episode 168 is with David Morrell in the Lansdales as Keith Lansdale, Casey Lansdale, and Joe Lansdale. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but Brendan and I
it'll be interesting.
I guarantee Brendan and I will not do most of the talking. What'd you say, Ron?
I said, I'm sure it'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If everybody can get a word in extra when Joe gets going, so.
That's what's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
his kids can talk a hell of a lot too, man. Casey and no one's going to say anything to that. Okay, I look like an asshole, but that's fine. By the way,
we're going for a theme here.
I got a Ronald Kelly shirt on. I had to show you for the end of the night.
Here's mine too.
That's amazing.
Sorry, Ron, I didn't plan because I didn't know you were coming, so I'm wearing a Thursday shirt because it's Thursday.
He knew. He doesn't love you like I do. Okay, you have many choices in podcasts. Thank you for us. Freddie, you can talk now. You can say something. We're still recorded.
You have many choices in podcasts. Thank you for choosing us.